Last time we talked it right. Arithmetic sequences, right? Looked like arithmetic and everything like that. All right, so these are geometric. These are different, obviously. They have a different name. Duh. The other ones were doing what over and over again? And the multi, and think of it as multiply fraction instead of division. All right, so anyway, tell me what's the next, what's happening? All right, this is what you should write down this sequence, and you should write down this. A1 is a common difference. These things have a common. Any other guess? Ratio. Forever and ever on these. Pick any two numbers in order. Divide. Multiplied by. Now it's rather obvious. Multiplied by a fraction, and you might recognize it right away. All right, so anyway, the next, easy enough. There we go. All right, let's look at this one. Is going down in value. Now, normally you might say it's division, but I want you to think that it's multiplying by a fraction instead. All right, so just to be clear, what is the first term? Okay, that's A1, so I just want you to get used to the lingo. What's the common ratio? 1/5. There you go. It'd be 5 if they were listed in the other order, right? They'd be going up by 5. Here's how you can figure it out. Take any two numbers, divide them backwards, right? This is going to end up being a fraction, right? You have a smaller number on the top. You could also go 75. Last, hang on a second. I want to get to one where there's some. A lot of lag today. Here we go. Let's keep going. Take a look at this one. Oh, no. It's on the next assignment. There we go. Negatives and fractions might be tough to tell what they're by. Right, gang? Yeah. You notice something first of all. There's a general pattern to the numbers. The first is negative, the second one's positive, and the third one's negative, right? Multiplying a number by a positive change, flip signs, will it ever do that? No. But it will if you're multiplying by a negative. So your first term is that, but what's your common ratio? What's happening? In order to figure this out, we might have to do some division, right? So let's do this. Let's work like we've been doing. You should write that down also. Yep, I know it's a new thing. Okay. Okay, so what's negative over 8? Let's reduce that in our brains, human brains. Well, so many mumblings. -5. You can divide them both by 4, right? Multiplying by. Reduce them. Reduce it. Divide by 4. That tells you what to multiply. So now we have to find the next number. The next number is times -5 over 2. So we've got -20 times -5 over 2. We can go straight across. That's a hundo divided by 2, which is 50. You need to simplify that. We divided by 4. We divided by 4. Okay, we reduced the fraction. You see it now? Okay. Now, you should notice this pattern should continue. It should alternate between negative and positive, negative and positive. You should have that in mind. Right? How about this one? Fractions again. Let's figure out what they're multiplying by. So write this one down, please. You can take 9 divided by, whoa, that's terrible. 27 over 5. Ugh. Flip. And times. Okay, now we did something like this long ago, actually. A week ago. 9, 7. You can cancel diagonal, right? You can do that. What's 9 over 27 reduced to? 1/3. So now this says 1 times 5, which is 5, and then left is a 3. You can also do it that way. Many of your calculators will also do this for you, right? But you guys are champions. You don't need it. What's 9 times 5/3? Remember, 5/3 isn't our answer. It's what we're multiplying. 9 5/3. Let's do that real quick. Pretend there's a 1 on the bottom of this. What's 9 times 5? 45. Over, what's 3? 15. You could have also done it this way, the same way we did a second ago. Can't you reduce diagonally? This would be 3 over 1. And so you're left with 3 times 5, which is a little faster. Number in the list. Easy peasy. Okay, next assignment. Use sequence formulas. This is going to be what we did the other day. This is a geometric sequence formula telling me that our first term is, and our common is the number in parentheses. Sequence with -9 over 2. And you multiply by that fraction, -4/3. This is formula. Formulas mean you can take a number, plug it in there and figure it out that way as well. What's the term? We could just plug in 2. So what would that look like? And we could plug in any number. If we wanted to find the 400th number, we could do that. So this is something you should also be writing down. What do you have to do for this situation? Let's talk about order of operations. Yeah, you have to do 2 minus 1. This is, but you really should think as being in parentheses, even though it's not up there. Right, so now it says 2 minus 1, that is 1. Thing to the first power is itself. So now it just says negative 9 over 2 times negative 4/3. Remember, reduce diagonally. I'm going to teach you to be a mathematical champion, a human freaking calculator, right? It's going to be awesome. What's 9 over 3? Reduce diagonally. Reduce diagonally this way. 4 over 2. Negative 3. All right, so now we have negative 3 times negative 2. What is it? Positive 6. Woo! Awesome. Here's another form of a G. Remember what this is called? Remember the crazy mind warping thing we watched? Started with an R. Recursion, right? This is called a recursive formula. Right? I drew a little tree over there. Recursion. They didn't believe me that I drew it, by the way. Big meanies. All right, anyway. What does this mean? Tell me what this means again. Where do you start the sequence at? Right here. You start at 15. And what do you think this means to? Good. Times negative 3. So if I do that, what will the number be? And then we're supposed to find the 4th term. We've only found 2 so far. Right? Times negative 3. Be positive. It's going to alternate because we're multiplying by a negative. And the 4th term? All right, sweet. Here we go. That's the recursive formula. Means it does the same thing. Right? Has a start, does the same thing over and over again. That's 1, 2, 3 assignments. Last assignment right here for today. We already kind of talked about it. Explicit form. Write this down. Explicit form. Geometric sequence. Explicit formula. This should be your heading right here. A1 R to the n minus 1. Notice it has the same n minus 1 as the last assignment we did. Arithmetic sequences also had the n minus 1. Let's talk about it. What does that mean? Why doesn't it just say n? Right. When you are 64, how many times have you multiplied by 8? 2. Even though 64 is the 3rd number. You're at the multiplied by 8 2 times. That's n minus 1. So your formula here should be 1, because that's the first number, times 2. What power? Good. That should be our formula. Now, I don't there, right? Bernardo is correct. This is almost correct, right? Almost correct because the -1. That is wrong. Is this one right? No. What's this one saying? Right. Good. It's saying 8's the first number. Right away it's wrong, right? Good. So that one's wrong also. What's another way we, just like on the other assignment days, what's another way we could write this? Who could come up with another formula? Who could write says to the n? What would it say there instead? What would the number be right before the 1? What if you went backwards in time?
1/8.
It would be 1/8. Okay. This would also be correct. All right, write that one down. Both of these are correct. Now, why does this one work this time? Well, we took away the -1, right? So it's like we had to go back in time one step. Because if I plug in 1, take a look at what happens. I plug in 1 right there. What's 8 to the first? 8. What's 8 times 1/8? 1, which is the first term, right? What happens if I plug in 2? What's 8 squared? 64. 64 times an 8th is 8. What happens when I plug in 3? 512 divided by 8. What is it? 64. That's another way you could check also. You could just plug in those numbers. So who's right here? Neither one. Let's do one more of these and we'll be done. Let's write the formula super fast. Ready? Write down those numbers. What's happening? Somebody tell me. Right, we're multiplying vocab. What's that called? No. What? The common? Nope. Starts with an R. Forgot. Ratio. Thank you. All right, there you go. Did you say it already?
No.
All right. Anyway, that's a common ratio. What's the first number in the sequence? That should go first, and we should say times. I always these around it. I don't have to, but I always do. The reason I do that is because if the common ratio is negative, it should be present. That makes a difference. If it's positive, it really doesn't matter. Now, shift. Watch this. This is annoying, right? Now, the thing I would do to recommend this, fixing it, is use parentheses. I think there's another way to do it, but that's the easiest way. Well, there. Up arrow. See what I'm saying? So you're going to have to use parentheses, I think. There's probably another way that I don't know about. I'm sure you geniuses will figure it out.